Hello everyone, I am Durga Saujanya, Assistant Professor, ECE Department, MLR Institute of Technology. I am going to give you the video lectures for the subject Embedded System Design. Our today's topic is Preemptive Scheduling. So, this preemptive scheduling comes under task scheduling in Unit 4. So, in the summary of previous session, here in previous session we have discussed the non-preemptive scheduling and different algorithms used in the non-preemptive scheduling. So, those are the FIFO based scheduling, LIFO based scheduling, shortest job first scheduling and priority based scheduling. So, these are the 4 algorithms we have seen in the previous session regarding the non-preemptive scheduling. In today's session, we are going to discuss about preemptive scheduling. And in preemptive scheduling, different types of algorithms which are shortest job first and round robin. So, these are the 2 algorithms and priority based scheduling. So, these are the 3 algorithms we are going to discuss about in this present session regarding this preemptive scheduling and the example problems for each one. So, now going to the today's session, the first topic is preemptive shortest job scheduling. So, preemptive scheduling is nothing but, so what is meant by preemptive scheduling? Here, when one process goes for execution, if any event occurs to the OS with process 2 or if any process having highest priority enters into the OS, so then this current process which is going for execution, that is P1, is preempted and it goes for waiting state, and the process which is having highest priority entered just now into the OS goes for the execution, and after completion of process 2 execution, so again the CPU will be released by P2 and it is allotted to the P1 process. And now P1 goes for execution and it completes its execution. So, this is the method of preemptive scheduling. So, in preemptive scheduling, in non-preemptive shortest job first scheduling algorithm, so the ready queue, it will sort the ready queue only after current process completes execution. So, that means here after in non-preemptive scheduling, after completion of current process only, another process will have the access for execution or will have the access for resources. So, until the completion of current process, there will not be possible for entering into the another process. But here in preemptive scheduling algorithm, it shows the ready queue when any new process enters into the ready queue. So, based on the priority, when any new process enters into the ready queue, so then it will be preempted and the execution flow will be accessed with another process, and checks whether the execution time of new process is shorter than the remaining of total estimated execution time of currently executing process. So, here the scheduler will check that the execution time of process 1 which is in currently executed, right? If P2 process which is a new process just now entered into the ready queue, if the P2 is having the less execution time compared with the remaining time of P1, so then only that P1 will be preempted and the CPU is allotted to the P2 process, and it checks whether the execution time of new process is shorter than the remaining time of currently executing process. If the execution time of new process is less, then only the currently executing process is preempted and the new process is scheduled for execution. So, always it compares the execution times, based on that only the current process is preempted and access will be scheduled to the new process. So, example for this is, here we have 3 processes which is P1, P2, P3. So, which are having the estimation time of 10 millisecond, 5 millisecond and 7 milliseconds, and those are entered into the ready queue. So now, so initially we are having P1, P2, P3 in the ready queue. So now a new process P4 enters with estimated completion time of 2 milliseconds after 2 milliseconds. So here P1 first enters into the ready queue with 10 millisecond execution time. P2 is having 5 millisecond execution time. P3 is having 7 millisecond execution time. So now 0 is the waiting time for P1. So after completion of 2 milliseconds, here P4 enters into the OS. So that means P4 enters into the scheduler. So now here, so what is the remaining time for P1? Here we have 10 minus 2, which is 8 milliseconds is the remaining execution time for P1. So what is the execution time for P4? It is 2 milliseconds. So therefore it is having the less execution time is for P4 only. Therefore P1 stops execution and it is preempted and it will goes to the wait state, and P4 enters into the ready queue and it will start its execution, and CPU is allotted to this P4 and it starts its execution and it have the execution time of 2 milliseconds. So after completion of 2 milliseconds for P4, now it checks with the remaining time which is having the here, so 2 plus 2, so 4 milliseconds is completed. So therefore remaining execution time is 6 milliseconds. So here 6 milliseconds means, so now 6 milliseconds. So here at the beginning only 3 processes P1 and P2, P3 are available. So therefore, so P1 is, so first picks the yes. Here we have go for shortest job first algorithm. So shortest job first algorithm means in the ready queue we are having P1, P2, P3 initially. So with 10 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds and 7 milliseconds. So first scheduler will compare the execution times of all these processes which is having the shortest execution time P2. So first P2 will go for execution and next P3 and next P1. So this is the ready queue for execution. So now at 0 milliseconds P1 enters into the execution and the P2 is scheduled for execution, and after 2 milliseconds here P4 enters into the execution queues or ready queue. Here the remaining time for P2 is, total execution time for P2 is 5 milliseconds. Right, at 2 milliseconds P4 enters. So that is the remaining time for P2 is 5 minus 2, that is 3 milliseconds is there. So but P4 will take only 2 milliseconds for execution. Therefore here P2 is preempted and CPU is allotted for P4. Therefore now P4 goes for execution. So it starts at 2 milliseconds and it completes by 2 milliseconds. Therefore at 4 milliseconds it completes its execution. So after completion of P4, again P2 will take its CPU for execution. So at P4 time P2 again started. So P2 started at 0 and at 2 milliseconds P4 enters into the execution, and at 4 milliseconds P4 completed its execution, and here we have the 3 milliseconds is remaining time for P2. So now from 4 milliseconds to another 3 milliseconds, that is at 7 milliseconds P2 completes its execution, and next P3 will enters into the process and it will take 7 milliseconds. So after 14 milliseconds P3 completes its execution. Now P1 enters into the execution and P1 will take 10 milliseconds. Therefore 24 milliseconds time period P1 will complete its execution. So these are the time periods taken by the each processes. So here we have seen the process. The waiting time for P2 is here. So P2 is having the shortest execution time, so that the waiting time for P2 is 0 millisecond. And now after 2 milliseconds of execution of P2, so now P4 enters into the execution. So that means the waiting time for P4 is 0 plus 2. So P4 now enters into the ready queue and it starts by preempting the P2. Therefore, it starts immediately whenever it enters into the ready queue. Therefore, the waiting time for P4 is 0 milliseconds only. Now, for P3 it is, so it will take, for P3, yes, here P4 is completed by 4 milliseconds and P2 is completed by 7 milliseconds. Therefore, for P3 the waiting time is 0 plus 7. 7 milliseconds is the P3 waiting time, and for P1 it enters into the ready queue after 14 milliseconds. Therefore, 14 milliseconds is the waiting time for P1. So, this is the average waiting time for all the processes. And turnaround time. Here the turnaround time for P2 is, so the time spent in the ready queue is, here for P2 it is, so at 7 milliseconds totally the P2 is completed its execution. That is, it enters at 0 millisecond and it completes at 7 milliseconds. Therefore, the turnaround time for P2 is 7 milliseconds and the turnaround time for P4 is, so P4 enters at 0 milliseconds and whenever it immediately enters into the ready queue, whenever it enters into the OS, so therefore the waiting time is 0 millisecond and its execution time is 2 milliseconds. Therefore, 0 plus 2, 2 milliseconds is the turnaround time for P4 and next P3. So, P3 enters into the ready queue at 7 milliseconds and it takes 7 milliseconds for its execution. Therefore, total 7 plus 7, 14 milliseconds is the turnaround time for P3. And next P1. So, here 14 milliseconds, at 14 milliseconds, the P1 is the, at 14 milliseconds, P1 enters into the ready queue. Therefore, 14 milliseconds plus its execution time is 10 milliseconds. Therefore, total 24 milliseconds is the turnaround time for P1. So, this is the average turnaround time for all the processes. So, this is the example of shortest job for scheduling algorithm. Next one is round robin scheduling algorithm. So, in round robin scheduling algorithm, each process will be allotted with a predefined specified time interval. So, that means for each process, so whatever the processes in operating system in ready queue, so for each process, the scheduler itself assigns a predefined time interval for each process, like 2 milliseconds or 3 milliseconds, like that. So, if 2 milliseconds is the predefined time interval for each process, so here at 0 milliseconds P1 enters and P1 is completed by 2 milliseconds, P2 is completed by 4 milliseconds, P3 is completed by 6 milliseconds, P4 is completed by 8 milliseconds, P5 is completed by 10 milliseconds. So, if the process P1 is having the execution time of 5 milliseconds and P2 is having the execution time of 4 milliseconds, P3 is having the execution time of 2 milliseconds, then here from 0 to 2 milliseconds P1 is in the ready queue and it goes for execution. After completion of its time interval, so it is preempted. So that means here the remaining time for P1 is here 5 milliseconds minus 2 milliseconds. There is 3 milliseconds time is there for completion of P1. So now P2 enters into the ready queue and it starts its execution. So now it also started at 2 milliseconds and it is completed by 4 milliseconds. And here it completed its 2 milliseconds time interval. So now it is also preempted. Now P3 enters into the process. So now P3 started at 4 milliseconds and it has execution time of 2 milliseconds. So at 6 milliseconds the P3 completed its execution. So there is the remaining time for P3 is 0 milliseconds. Therefore no need for preemption of P3. Now after completion of this execution, Again the CPU will be allotted for P2, then come back to the process P2. So now P2 starts its process. Here the remaining time for P2 is 2 milliseconds. Therefore, now after completion of P3, CPU will be allotted for P2, P2 go for execution, and after the 2 milliseconds predefined time interval, the P2 completes its execution. Now it completes its execution, so it is not preempted. So now the execution flow will be come back to the P1 process. So now it starts its execution, and here it takes 2 milliseconds to complete its execution. If any other process enters into the OS, then after 2 milliseconds, this P1 is preempted and the CPU access will be given for another new process. If no other process is there in the OS, then it will complete its execution by another 2 milliseconds. Before that only it is completed, otherwise it is preempted. So in this way, all the processes will be executed one by one, and those are preempted which are not completed their execution will be preempted and enters into the another process, and after completion of that process again come back to the main process. So in this way, these all the processes will be executed in the OS. So this is the round robin scheduling algorithm. Here each process in the ready queue is executed for a predefined time interval. So that slot will be allotted for each process. That is, here in our example we have considered 2 milliseconds is the slot time. So the execution starts with picking up the first process in the ready queue and it is executed for a predefined time interval. Next, if the predefined time interval that slot is elapses or the process completes before the slot time, the next process will enters into the ready queue. And if the execution is completed for the current process, then new process will be entered. If the execution is not completed for the current process, it is preempted and the next process entered into the ready queue. So, and it is repeated for all the processes in the ready queue. Once each process in the ready queue is executed for the predefined time period, the scheduler comes back and picks the first process in the ready queue after execution. So when any new process preempts the current process, so after completion of the new process, the execution flow will come back to the current process, the current process which is preempted, and it completes its execution. So this round robin scheduling is also same as the first in first out FIFO scheduling algorithm or first come first service scheduling algorithm. But the difference is, here in first out scheduling algorithm, we have to follow the execution time of the processes only. There is no fixed time slot for each process. But here we have a time slice for each process. This is the difference between the round robin algorithm and FIFO scheduling algorithm. Next example for this is, as we have explained previous, the same example is given here is P1, P2, P3 are the three processes in the ready queue which are having the, so P1 is having the 6 milliseconds, P2 is having the 4 milliseconds and P3 is having the 2 milliseconds for execution times. So now, so when P1, here P1, P2, P3, it is having the 6 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds and 2 milliseconds. And here, so using the round robin algorithm with time slice 2 milliseconds, the scheduler given the slot time as 2 milliseconds. So here for 2 milliseconds each process will be scheduled. So from 0 to 2 milliseconds P1 is scheduled, from 2 to 4 milliseconds P2 is scheduled, from 4 to 6 milliseconds P3 is scheduled. If this process is not completed, again after 6 milliseconds, from 6 to 8 milliseconds, if P3 is completed, okay. If not completed, it is preempted, and again P2 will take its execution, and from 8 to 10 milliseconds P1 will take its execution, and next 10 to 12 milliseconds P3 will take its execution. So like that all the processes will be again and again takes its time slice for completes its execution. So here the same. It takes 6 milliseconds, it takes 4 milliseconds, it takes 2 milliseconds. So the waiting time for P1 is 0 milliseconds. So the waiting time is here 0 milliseconds plus. So here the time slice is 2 milliseconds. So from 0 to 2 P1, here 2 to 4 P2, 4 to 6 P3, again from 6 to 8 P1, sorry P2, and from 8 to 10 it is P1. Okay, so here after 2 milliseconds again the P1 is in the waiting state up to the 8 milliseconds. So 8 minus 2. So that is here 6 milliseconds is the waiting time for P1, right? And next from 10 to waits for time slice to get execution back, and again one time slice for getting CPU time. Here it have total 6 milliseconds. So it has 3 time slots from 0 to 2 and from 0 to 2 and from 6 to 8 and from 10 to 12. Here it is P1, it is P2, right? Yes. So here from 0 to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. First P1 process, next P2, next P3, again P1, P2. Here P1 is 6 milliseconds. So here 2 milliseconds consumed. So 4 milliseconds is the remaining time. And here P2, it is 4 milliseconds. So remaining time is 2 milliseconds. For P3, it is 2 milliseconds. So its remaining time is 0 milliseconds. It completes its execution. So now P1 enters. Here the remaining time is 4 milliseconds. So its execution time is 4 milliseconds. Now again the remaining time is 2 milliseconds. For P2, here we have the execution time is 2 milliseconds. So with this time slot 2 milliseconds, it completes its execution. So now again P1 enters at 10 milliseconds. So now its execution time is 2 milliseconds. So now with this time slot 2 milliseconds, it completes its execution. So therefore what is the waiting time for P1? So for P1 it enters into the 0 milliseconds for first slot, and at 6 milliseconds is the second slot, at 10 milliseconds is the third slot. So here from 2 to 6 the P1 waiting time is there, and again its execution time. So from 8 to 10 this is the waiting time for P1. So therefore here 6 minus 2 and 10 minus 8. So this is the waiting time for process 1. So like that P2. So for P2 here it waits up to the 2 milliseconds time slot of P1. Therefore it starts at 2 milliseconds. So 2 plus here it should be waited from P3 to P1. So this is from 4 to 8. So that is 8 minus 4. And again, so there is no other slot for P2. So therefore this is the waiting time for P2. And next for P3, here it enters into the ready queue after 4 milliseconds at the first slot, and after that, after completion of its 2 millisecond slot, it is in the wait. So sorry, it has only 2 milliseconds for its execution. Therefore only 4 is the waiting time for P3. So these are the waiting times for P1 and P2 and P3. So average waiting time is the average of all these processes. Next, turnaround time for P1 is, here P1 completed at 12 milliseconds. Therefore, turnaround time for P1 is 12 milliseconds. P2 completed at 10 milliseconds. Therefore, 10 milliseconds is the turnaround time for P2. And P3 completed at 6 milliseconds. 6 milliseconds is the turnaround time for P3. So, this is the average of all the turnaround times. So, this is about the round robin scheduling. Next, priority based scheduling. So, in priority based scheduling, here, so based on the scheduler assigned priority. So, as we already discussed about priority based scheduling, in non-preemptive based scheduling, that is the scheduler can assign priority to all the processes either in number based method or in execution time based method. Okay, so whenever the priority number is assigned to the scheduler, here also if any higher priority process, which is having the shortest execution time is entered into the ready queue, so the current process is preempted and that new process will be executed. So here, so this priority based preemptive scheduling is adopted for real-time systems. So because for the real-time systems, we need to consider the time critical behavior, so which is deterministic behavior. So therefore, for real-time systems, this preemptive priority based scheduling is used. And here, by using this process also, here we have considered the shortest execution time method. Therefore, starvation is also occurred in this priority based scheduling method. So, by using the aging method as same as discussed in the non-preemptive priority based scheduling, the same will be applied here also. That means here we can assign the priority to each process and based on the priority, those processes will be going for execution into the ready queue. So, when any new process entered with shortest execution time or having the highest priority for that process, so that current process will be preempted and new process will be entered into the execution. So, the example for this is, here there are three processes P1, P2, P3 which are having the 10 millisecond, 5 millisecond and 7 milliseconds for its execution. So, here the priorities are assigned as, for P1 we have the priority 1, for P2 we are having the priority 3, for P3 we are having the priority 2. So, that means here which process is having the highest priority? P1. So, first P1 is going for ready queue and next P3 is go for ready queue. After completion of P3, P2 will go for execution. So, now a new process P4 enters with 6 milliseconds execution time and priority 0 enters into the ready queue after 5 milliseconds of start of P1. So, here P1 having the execution time of 10 milliseconds from 0 to 10. So, as P1 is having the highest priority, first P1 is go for ready queue. So, it starts at 0 millisecond and it is completed by 10 milliseconds. In between, at 5 milliseconds, the P4 enters into the process. The P4 enters into the scheduler. So, now it is having the priority 0. So, which is higher priority than P1. Therefore, the P1 stops its execution and it is preempted. And now P4 enters into the ready queue and it starts its execution at 5 milliseconds. So, from 5 milliseconds to P4 completion time is 6 milliseconds. So, now after completion of this execution, that is at 11 milliseconds, again here compared with P2 and P3, P1 is having the highest priority. Therefore, P1 starts its execution. So, P1 is from 0 to 5 milliseconds. So, at 5 milliseconds, P4 enters and P4 completes its execution by 11 milliseconds. And at 11 milliseconds, P1 starts its execution. And here the remaining time for P1 is 5 milliseconds, total 10 milliseconds. Therefore, remaining time is 5 milliseconds. So, 11 plus 5 at 16 milliseconds, P1 completes its execution. So, now here P3 is having the highest priority. Therefore, P3 enters into execution. So, P3 is having the 7 milliseconds. Therefore, at 23 milliseconds, P3 completes its execution. At 23 milliseconds, P2 enters into the execution and P2 is having the 5 milliseconds. Therefore, at 28 milliseconds, P2 completes its execution. So, we will see this. So, here the waiting time for P1 is, here the waiting time for P1 is, here it is 0 plus again here at 11 milliseconds it's entered. So, that means from 5 to 11 P1 is not there, that is 11 minus 5. This is the waiting time for P1. So, 0 plus 11 minus 5, that is the P1 waiting time. And next P2 waiting time, sorry, yes, P2. So, what is the waiting time for P2? Here P2 enters into the process at 23 milliseconds. Therefore, it is 23 milliseconds. Next P3. So, P3 enters into the process at 16 milliseconds. Therefore, it is 16 milliseconds. Now, P4. So, what is the waiting time for P4? At 5 milliseconds. So, not at 5 milliseconds. So, P4, a new process entered after 5 milliseconds of the P1. So, it entered just now and entered into the ready queue with its highest priority. Therefore, the waiting time for P4 is 0. So, here 0 waiting time for P4 is 0 milliseconds. So, these are the waiting times for each process and average waiting time is average of all the processes waiting times. And next turnaround time. So, turnaround time for P1 is here. So, P1 completed by 16 milliseconds. Therefore, turnaround time for P1 is 16 milliseconds and P2 is 28 milliseconds. P3 is 23 milliseconds. P4 is completed by 11 milliseconds. Right? P1 is 16 milliseconds. Right? P4 is, P4 for its the waiting time or the starting time is 0 milliseconds. Therefore, it takes only 6 milliseconds for its completion. But as per our process, it takes up to the 11 milliseconds. But in the point of view of P4, it enters at 0 milliseconds. Therefore, it takes only 6 milliseconds for its completion. And P3 is 23 and P2 is 28. Right, P3 is 23, P2 is 28. Average turnaround time is average of all the processes turnaround time. So, this is about the example of priority based scheduling. So, conclusion. Here, in this, we have discussed the summary of previous session. So, that is what are the algorithms we have discussed in the previous session, that is non-preemptive scheduling and next shortest job first scheduling. Here, in this session, we are discussing about the preemptive scheduling algorithms. In preemptive scheduling algorithms, there are the 3 types of algorithms are there. One is shortest job first scheduling algorithm, round robin scheduling and priority based scheduling. So, we have discussed these 3 scheduling algorithms and examples of these 3 scheduling algorithms in this present session. Thank you.